G'day ladies and gentlemen, this is Voyager the Second here. Today we are back with another episode of Fixing Public Transport in New South Wales. Otherwise we should rename it to Public Transport Showcases in New South Wales. But that's not what we're here for today. In today's episode we are going to go to the Central Coast to build a mammoth light rail project which will connect Gosford with Terrigal, the Entrance and Tuggerah. And these are going to be massive light rail projects. It's going to bring lots of growth into the Central Coast, and it's also going to bring good access to public transport. And so yeah, now there's some color coding schemes with this project. For the stations, orange, which will only be with Gosford and Tuggerah. They are that means you can interchange with trains. Blue means it's just a normal light rail stop. Yellow is for stops on demand. Green is for stops with bicycle, where you can ride your bike to the light rail stop and then you can change for trams. And brown is for car, for park and ride, and because we represented brown because of how much shit how much shit cars produce. Red is for premium, is a premium stop. These are premium stops of both cycling and park and rides. And so yeah, these are the stops. So, and we will look at the color coding schemes for these zones, for these polygons highlighted in Google Earth as the video progresses. So without further ado, let's get this showcase started at Gosford. So from Gosford there's going to be this will be where all light rail services terminate at Gosford. Well, not all of them, but two lines will be going to Gosford, and where you can change for trains or Central Coast line trains, Central Coast and Newcastle line trains on the North Main line, all the way to the city. But from here the light rail will run along Mans Road. I think that's what it's called. Yep, Mans Road. There's going to be a stop at Blue Tongue Stadium. I also forgot to mention that travelling between Gosford and waterfront stations and waterfront stops, they're actually free travel. So that's good news there for you. Actually, maybe just Gosford and Blue Tongue Stadium, maybe not waterfront, because there's going to be lots of residents flocking into that stop there to get the free travel. So it's only going to be going down to Blue Tongue Stadium, and it will serve the stadium, the Central Coast Stadium, Blue Tongue Stadium. That's the actual name. I think that's what it's called actually, but this is what it said. Hang on. Yeah, that's the view from Blue Tongue Stadium. And there's going to be a stop at Waterfront there. Nothing special about those two stops. No park and rides, no cycling racks there. There's going to be a stop at Frederick West. Now you got all these polygons here. Green means there's going to be residential high-rise development, and blue is for commercial high-rise. And we're going to put in lots of growth in the Central Coast with this infrastructure project. Now there's going to be another stop at East Gosford, just to serve, and also Frederick West will, which serves Point Frederick. It will have bicycle stands, so there's going to be lots of commuters who will ride their bike to this light rail stop, and then they can take the tram to Gosford. East Gosford's just going to be a normal stop, nothing special, and then it will continue along the Central Coast Highway right at the center of the road. And I'm also thinking, I haven't put this on the map, but I'm thinking that there will also be a major depot for trams. Unfortunately though, it will have to take away nature, and that's the thing, but that's the best thing we can do. And now there's going to be another stop at Avoca Drive, Now there's gonna be park and ride at Avoca Drive because there's going to be lots of people from this part of the Central Coast who would want to take the tram to go to Gosford. And also we're going to be putting, and this is not going to be nice to hear, but on the Central Coast Highway between Gosford and the entrance, there's going to be tolls now. So that's what I plan to do, putting tolls, so that instead of driving your car to work, you might as well take public transport because it's going to be cheaper, and you get an advantage for taking public transport. Now, this yellow zone here, it's going to be for industrial and employment development. There's going to be offices and industrial going to be developed around Erina. There's already existing, and some of the buildings may need to be demolished and replaced with better industrial buildings. And this park would be replaced with a very nice waterfront, and that can be good for people who would like to check out the waterfront. Well, it might be looking very shitty, but yeah, that's that. There's Fountain Plaza here. It's going to be a stop at Fountain Plaza. It's going to serve this mall here. It's called Fountain Plaza. That's why I named it Fountain Plaza. And then there's a stop at Barralong, which should rather be named Erina. Actually, yeah, it's a good idea to name it Erina. Let's actually rename it to Erina. Wait. Okay, doesn't matter. Oh, wait, rename. Okay, there we go. Much better. Erina. It will be called Erina. And from Erina, the light rail will split off into two different branches. But we'll first go to the shorter branch to Terrigal. From Erina, there's light rail will split off, and and for trams going to Terrigal, there's going to be a stop just north of Erina Fair, and that's why we call it Erina Fair. It's a very short walking distance to the largest single-story shopping mall in the Southern Hemisphere, Erina Fair. Actually, yeah, I think that's true. It's the largest single-story shopping mall in the Southern Hemisphere. There's Erina Fair, just a simple stop. You don't really need to take your bike to the mall. You can just walk to Erina Fair, and that's that. And now this is where things can get a little interesting. The light rail will run on the side of the road, so that way you don't have to really build on the road and it doesn't disrupt traffic while light rail is being constructed. And then it continues to run along the side of the road. No stop until we get to Stadium. The reason it's called Stadium is because it's called, where is it? Gosford City Sports Stadium. Well, though, the irony is, it's not a stadium. This is quite ironic, though. It's just another sports recreational park. But we call it Stadium for no reason. Now, the light rail will go back on the center of the road because of property on the side of the road, limiting space to build light rail on the side of the road. But then it will go on the side of the road again with another stop at Lagoon, because of Terrigal Lagoon, which is not far away, and it should also improve the coverage as well. And then it will still run to the side of the road. Might take down those three houses if necessary, and then it will parallel the road, and then we will terminate at Terrigal. Actually, instead of a bike stand, we should rather have more of a park and ride. Well, it would rather be a premium stop. I'd rather have a premium stop, but there is no space for park and rides, unfortunately. Otherwise, but maybe you could do it at the beach. That could be the best option. But light rail would serve the beach pretty well. But I know that there's going to be complaints about crime. Well, you know what? Just shut up, okay? I know there's crime. But there's Terrigal. And that's going to be a good stop for people who want to go to the beach. But now, let's go on the bigger branch. From Erina, light rail will run north along the Central Coast Highway. I'll just turn on the roads to get better reference, because I might forget as well. And now it will run along mostly rural land, so there's going to be not much going on. And there's a stop at Erina Heights, otherwise known as Central Coast Grammar School. And it's only coded in yellow because it would probably only be served by students and maybe some farmers. Well, it actually could serve. There's 3 light rail stops at Erina Heights, Matcham and Golf Links. Well, not really, just Erina Heights and Matcham, which will serve the rural areas of Matcham, Holgate, and this area as well. I don't know if there's a specific suburb for that area, but doesn't matter. It will still run along the center of the Central Coast Highway. There's going to be a stop at Golf Links. Nothing special about those stops. Yeah, I also forgot to say that yellow, or if you remember from earlier in this video, that yellow is it's just for stops and demand, a bit like Wonderbine and Zigzag stations. Now there's Golf Links here, and Womberall stations, and Womberall is going to have bike stands, so you can ride your bike to Womberall, your bicycles to Womberall, and then you can commute on your way to work or anywhere else. Now that's Womberall. Now light rail will run along the eastern side of the Central Coast Highway, and then it will go back on the center of the Central Coast Highway with a stop at Foresters Beach. And it's just to serve the town of Foresters Beach, rather should I call it Foresters. But then it will go back on the western side of the entrance road. Actually, it's not the Central Coast Highway anymore. It's called the entrance road. It will run on the west side of the entrance road. And then there will be a stop at Batteau South, which once the light rail goes back onto the center of the road, Batteau South, although it's actually called Batteau Bay. There's the name there. And then we'll continue along the center of the road again until we reach Batteau Bay Square. That's a major shopping mall, I think. And also right here was the recently opened Carl's Jr. and that is going to be and with Batteau Bay Square and Carl's Jr. putting light rail along this will bring business, baby. And that's Batteau Bay Square. Another stop at Blue Water, and at Blue Water you will change for trams to Tuggerah. And yeah, that's that. It will continue west to Tuggerah, but we will continue all the way up to the entrance first. It will continue running on the center of the entrance road with another stop at Longjetty. This pinkish color represents that it will be both residential and commercial development, and that way you can add more jobs and housing at the same time. Sydney is currently in a housing crisis. There is a big boom and property is becoming very expensive. Even in the Central Coast it's becoming very expensive, and this is the ideal way to go, to build apartments and infrastructure in the Central Coast to keep up with the demand of house prices. It will just run along the center of the entrance road with another stop at Oakland, just named after Oakland Avenue, nothing special. And this is where the main line will terminate, at the entrance. And this orange one represents commercial and employment development, so those houses will need to be replaced with commercial and employment. But you've got more houses popping up along the Central Coast, as I've highlighted it. And that's the main line. Now we'll begin the Tuggerah branch. From Blue Water, the light rail will run along Wyong Road with another stop at Killarney Vale. Now there's going to be more residential and commercial development at Killarney Vale. We'll continue running along the centre of the road, and then we'll have another stop at Mingara, which will serve both Tumbi and the unofficial suburb named Mingara, because it's named Mingara because of this recreational area here. It's called the Mingara Recreational, whatever that is. Mingara Recreational Club. Yeah. There's the Mingara Recreational Club. It's going to serve that. And then we'll also have a commercial and employment development between Mingara and Beckingham. Beckingham is just a normal stop. I also forgot to mention that the stops at Mingara and Bateau Bay Square will be both park and ride and bicycle standing. Will contain both park and rides and bicycle stands. Now there's another stop at Beckingham. Just another normal stop. Pindari. People can cycle to Pindari, and then you can hop on the tram to Pindari, and then you can go all the way out to Tuggerah. Now this is where it gets interesting again. The light rail will run along the northern side of Wyong Road. There will be another stop at Berkeley West, where we will build another park and ride. It will still run parallel on the northern side. Another stop at Chittaway, named after Chittaway Bay. I just called it Chittaway. There's going to be employment here at Chittaway. I forgot to highlight that we could have the potential to develop Chittaway. Now there's another stop at Tuggerah Business Park. We'll highlight this area in a future episode because I plan to upgrade the North Main Line between Sydney and Newcastle. And then our final stop is at Tuggerah Station, which will serve Tuggerah Station, where passengers can also change for North Main Line trains going to Newcastle, the rest of the Central Coast, and further south to Sydney. And that is the light rail project, ladies and gentlemen. Now there's a few announcements. I plan to build light rail in Adelaide, a new light rail or metro line in Adelaide. And then I also plan to upgrade the entire North Main Line all the way up to Newcastle, between Sydney and Newcastle. And there are things that, and it should also help with the Northern Beaches rail line and so forth. But that's going to be in another episode, and I may not upload, and I've done less frequent uploads due to the lack of ideas. I'm trying not to stay too close to New South Wales. I'd like to go overseas, but it's hard for me to plan projects overseas, especially, but it's easy for me to plan them in New South Wales because I live in New South Wales, but I'm not telling you where I live. Well, you would probably know where I live, but it doesn't matter. And so, this is the project, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this episode up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and favorite the video. I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.